Welcome back to the New Sentinel, folks. I'm Major Ethan Graves, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Duke Johnson. Duke, you ready for this one?
Locked and loaded, Ethan. This is the kind of episode that gets my blood pumping. Capitol Hill's a war zone right now, just a different kind of ammo flying around.
Yeah, and the stakes are sky high. We're talking about the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, Trump's mega budget package. Senate Republicans are racing the clock, trying to get this thing passed before July 4th. That deadline isn't just about fireworks and hot dogs. It's a hard line from the president himself. He wants this on his desk for the holiday, and the symbolism is thick as Texas mud.
And the margins are razor thin, man. Republicans got, 53 seats? They lose 3. It's game over. No Dems are crossing the aisle for this one. It's all on the GOP to keep their own house in order. And right now, that house is looking like a busted barracks after a bad inspection.
You got that right. And the internal divisions are brutal. You got folks like Senator Ron Johnson, Mike Lee, Rick Scott, Rounds, Collins, Murkowski, all raising red flags. Medicaid, SNAP, rural impacts, these aren't just talking points. They're real pain points for their states, especially the rural senators. They're hearing it from back home, and it's not pretty.
Yeah, and some of these guys are getting hammered by their own voters. Medicaid cuts, SNAP changes, clean energy rollbacks. It's not just the blue states screaming. It's the red ones, too. I mean, you got Murkowski up in Alaska, Collins in Maine, Rounds in South Dakota. These are places where folks depend on those programs, and they're not shy about letting their senators know it.
Reminds me of a night in Baghdad, actually. We were up against a hard deadline, trying to get a deal done with local leaders before the sun came up. Everyone had their own agenda. Nobody wanted to give an inch, and the clock was ticking. You could feel the pressure in the air, same as these Senate back rooms right now. When the stakes are this high, every move matters, and one wrong step can blow the whole thing up.
Yeah, except in this case, the shrapnel's going to hit regular Americans if they screw it up. And the way these senators are bickering, I wouldn't bet my last MRE on them getting it done clean. But hey, that's why we're here, to break it down for folks who don't have time to watch C-SPAN all day. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes. This bill ain't just about tax cuts and waving the flag. It's got some real sharp edges. We're talking deep cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, and clean energy projects. And the impact? It's hitting rural and low-income Americans the hardest.
Yeah, let's start with SNAP. The bill shifts a big chunk of the cost to the states. If states don't keep their error rates below 6%, they got to pick up more of the tab. That sounds like a bureaucratic detail, but in practice, it means states either cut benefits, tighten eligibility, or start scrambling for cash. And rural states, they're the ones with the least admin muscle to handle it.
And the Senate parliamentarians already flagged some of these SNAP changes as maybe not kosher under reconciliation. So they're rewriting, retooling, trying to thread the needle. But the bottom line is, if this goes through, a lot of folks are going to see their food assistance shrink or disappear. That's not just a talking point. That's dinner on the table for millions.
And then there's Medicaid. New work requirements, freezes on provider taxes. Those are the lifelines for rural hospitals. If those get cut, you could see clinics and hospitals in small towns shutting their doors. I saw a quote from a rural hospital administrator said, "If this bill passes, we might not make it to Christmas." That's not hyperbole. That's the reality on the ground.
And don't forget the clean energy rollbacks. They're gutting the tax credits from the Inflation Reduction Act. Solar and wind projects, over 700 of them, a lot in red states, are suddenly at risk. Sunrun and Solar Edge stocks dropped 40% just on the news. That's jobs. That's investment. That's local economies getting kneecapped. And the irony? A lot of these projects are in districts that voted for Trump. Now they're calling their senators saying, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, and the backlash is bipartisan. You got grocers in rural towns saying, if SNAP gets cut, We lose customers. We might have to close. Hospital folks warning about layoffs. Even some Republican senators are handing out flyers showing how much their own states stand to lose. It's not just Democrats raising hell, it's the GOP's own base.
And you know, the Democrats are framing this as a war on working families. Republicans are saying it's about fiscal responsibility, cutting the deficit, making the Trump tax cuts permanent. But the numbers don't lie. $5 trillion debt ceiling hike, and not enough offsets. Even some fiscal hawks are saying, this doesn't add up.
It's a classic case of unintended consequences. You try to fix the budget, but you end up hurting the very folks you claim to represent. And with the midterms coming up, this could backfire big time. Rural revolt, anyone?
Yeah, and if they don't get it done by July 4th, we're staring down a government shutdown. That means Social Security checks, veterans benefits, all that stuff could get delayed. Markets get spooked. Retirees see their 401ks take a hit. It's not just a Washington problem. It's Main Street, USA.
All right, let's talk about the sausage making. This bill is moving through reconciliation. That's the fast-track process that lets them bypass the filibuster. But it's got strict rules, and the Senate parliamentarian is the gatekeeper. She's already struck down key Medicaid provisions, like the provider tax changes, for not fitting the budget rules.
Yeah, and that provider tax thing is a big deal. States use it to pull in more federal Medicaid money. Parliamentarian says, nope, doesn't fit the rules. So now Republicans got to go back, rewrite, and try to find $250 billion in savings somewhere else. It's like trying to patch a Humvee with duct tape. Every fix creates a new leak.
And it's not just Medicaid. Some SNAP provisions got flagged too. So GOP leaders are scrambling, recalibrating their strategy, trying to keep the bill alive. Meanwhile, Democrats are exploiting every delay, putting their objections on the record, and hoping to peel off a few moderate Republicans.
And you got the risk of a shutdown hanging over everything. If they don't get this done by the deadline, the government runs out of money. That's not just a political headache. That's real-world pain for a lot of folks. Reminds me of a deployment I had. Last-minute mission changes, everyone running around, rewriting the op order at 2 a.m. You think you got a plan, then the brass comes in and flips the table. That's what these senators are dealing with right now, rewriting the bill overnight, hoping it holds together long enough to get the votes.
And the whole thing is fragile. One senator flips, the whole deal could collapse. And even if they pass it, it goes back to the House. Too many changes, and the House might balk. Then we're back to square one with the clock ticking and the markets watching.
Bottom line, this is high-stakes political chess. Every move matters, and nobody wants to be the one who gets blamed if it all goes sideways. But that's the game, and that's why we watch.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the New Sentinel. We'll be watching the Senate floor, the backroom deals, and the fallout. Whatever happens next, you know we'll break it down for you. Duke, always a pleasure, brother.
You too, Ethan. Folks, keep your heads on a swivel and your radios tuned right here. We'll see you next time. Out.